Chapter 24. Crimson Flames. The vampire elder snorted, showing no fear at all. A fierce light gleamed on his withered face as he spoke. Back then, you righteous folks relied on your numbers and strength. Do you really think I'm afraid of you? With a wave of his hands, the skull in front of him, shimmering with red light, let out a wail as it sliced through the air, swiftly circling around his body. His eyes began to turn red as well. Bai took a deep breath, focusing his attention. A century ago, he was already an outstanding member of Qingyun Sect. He had been one of the main forces in hunting down the remnants of the demonic sect and had fought against the vampire elder before. He knew not to underestimate him. The vampire's blood-sucking technique was especially formidable. At that moment, the dark clouds in the sky gathered once again. The traces torn apart by Bai's sword had vanished, and the night grew even darker. Faintly, the sound of the sea waves from afar mixed with the fierce wind, gradually becoming tumultuous. Amidst the darkness, a faint and elusive howl, as if hidden deep in the sea, drifted gently under the night sky. Zhang Xiaofan woke up gradually, feeling discomfort in his chest. Suddenly, he heard a soft exclamation, and a fair hand reached out, gently massaging his chest. After a moment, the stagnant chen in his chest dissipated, and even his spirits improved. Zhang Xiaofan looked up and saw his master, "So are you?" supporting him with a smile. Blushing, he murmured, "Thank you, master." "So are you?" spoke softly. "Are you okay?" Zhang Xiaofan nodded. "I'm just a little tired now, nothing else." "So are you?" nodded with a smile. Suddenly, she chuckled softly. "Well, now you get to see your master venting for you." Zhang Xiaofan was startled and followed Suru's gaze, feeling shocked for a moment. Under the dark sky, amidst the low, rumbling black clouds, there was a blazing and shining sphere of light, illuminating half the sky. Even the edges of the dark clouds seemed to be lined with light. Bai stood like an ancient fire god in the clouds, transforming the blazing flames into flying dragons, tearing through the dark clouds and soaring into the sky. Meanwhile, the vampire elder was nowhere to be seen, but a huge skeleton appeared in the sky. Roaring madly, the winds and clouds changed, with fiery blood-red lights rising to the sky, engaging in fierce combat with the fire dragons. The dark clouds were boiling by now, roaring and rolling from the ground. The two figures appeared like gods and demons, fiercely fighting in anger. Zhang Xiaofan watched with a pounding heart, deeply admiring his master. The roaring fire dragons were awe-inspiring, resonating much more than the fire dragon summoned by the three-tailed demon fox in the black stone cave a few days ago. At this thought, he suddenly trembled, feeling a rush of heat from the black stone mirror on his right arm, as if stimulated, spreading throughout his body. "So are you?" who was beside him, suddenly sensed something, turned her head, and looked at him with concern, asking, "Xiaofan, why are you suddenly so hot? Could it be a fever after the injury?" Zhang Xiaofan was startled. He didn't expect his master to be so sensitive. For a moment, he didn't know what to say, so he could only stammer, "I'm fine." "So are you?" frowned, about to ask further, but suddenly felt something. Turning her head to look back, footsteps approached from the forest, and in just a moment, over 100 people emerged from various corners, all righteous sect members. The representatives from Tianyin Temple, Fan Valley, like Fa Xiang and Fa Shan, as well as Li Zun and Yin Hong from Incense Valley, were among them, with King Song Dao Ren leading the way. "So are you?" stood up, smiling. "Senior brother Kang Song, you're deaf, so we came to take a look." "So are you?" frowned slightly, feeling a hidden sting in his words. But before she could say anything, disciples from Dezhou Peak who had come over saw Zhang Xiaofan covered in blood, sitting on the ground looking pale. Kia Linger exclaimed in shock and ran over, followed by Song Darren, Du Bishu, and He Dazi, all with worried expressions. Unexpectedly, as they ran a few steps, they suddenly saw a figure rushing past them even faster. Upon closer inspection, it was Lin Jingyu. Lin Jingyu flashed to Zhang Xiaofan's side, squatting down, grabbing his arm, his face slightly pale, asking, "Xiaofan, are you okay?" Feeling his concern, Zhang Xiaofan's heart warmed, nodding and smiling. "I'm fine, don't worry." Lin Jingyu looked him up and down, then glanced at the wound on his chest, finally relieved, and breathed a sigh of relief. "Who hurt you?" Zhang Xiaofan pointed upwards, saying, "It's that demon. My master just called him. Seems like he's called the blood-seeking elder. Lin Jingyu's body trembled slightly, apparently knowing this villain. Surprised, he said, "This old guy actually appeared." After saying this, he raised his head to look up. At this moment, Tianlinger and the others also arrived at Zhang Xiaofan's side, asking questions. Zhang Xiaofan looked at Tianlinger as concerned eyes, the sky with a blank expression, but his eyes were sharp, staring at Tia Bai's figure, as if lost in thought. At this moment, a strong wind howled. Flames blazed in the sky, and blood-red light soared into the air. Obviously, the two were now in the most critical moment of their battle. King Song Dao Ren suddenly said coldly, "I didn't expect this blood-seeking elder to be so audacious, daring to provoke us here." Chahao was standing beside him. Stepping forward, he said, "Master, what do you command?" King Song Dao Ren looked up at the sky and said, "Your senior brother Tian's victory is already certain. That old demon won't last much longer. You lead the people to arrange around the surroundings. We can't let this monster escape this time." Chahao replied, then waved his hand, calling Lin Jingyu back, and then turned to inform the other major sects like Faxiang and Lizun, discussing their plan.